Back in 2022, hip-hop was in front of arguably its biggest audience ever as Dr. Dre performed at the Super Bowl alongside artists like Snoop Dogg and Eminem. Also on that stage was Mary J. Blige, the only female performer, reminding everyone about her impact and legacy in the music business. Often called the Queen of Hip-Hop Soul, Mary J. Blige became a pioneering artist who set the fashion trend for 90s artists going forward and fused R&B, hip-hop and soul in a way that transformed the music industry. 3 decades ago, the world was first introduced to the then 21-year-old singer from Yonkers, New York, by way of the classic record, What's the 411? Mary's raw, emotional lyrics and unique blend of rap beats with soulful melodies set her apart from her contemporaries. She became known for her powerful voice, vulnerable storytelling, and undeniable authenticity, connecting with fans through themes of love, pain, and resilience. We're gonna take a look into how her around-the-way girl aesthetic reshaped the R&B and hip-hop industries, carving out a new visual identity that bridged the gap between street style and high fashion. By mixing bold, urban aesthetics with luxury designer looks, Mary not only set trends, but also created a blueprint for artists who wanted to express their authenticity through style.
She got the little fly glasses on, you know? Got the big earrings, got the leather vest. You ready? Are you ready for superstardom? I mean, whatever it takes to, get the job done, I'm ready for it.
Born in the Bronx and then later relocating to Yonkers, Mary had a tough upbringing as her father would leave the family while she was young, and then traumatically would be molested at the age of 5, as she has spoken about before.
She discussed the incident in 2011 on VH1's Behind the Music.
When I was 5 years old, I was molested, and just, I remember feeling literally right before it happened, just could not believe this person was going to do this to me.
Mary dealt with a lot of abuse growing up, from abusing her family to the guys in her neighborhood, in an unfortunate era where violent misogyny was a huge makeup of the inner city's perception of what masculinity actually was. These experiences greatly shaped her outlook on life and also the mood of her music, as she would later go on to say that her dress sense during the late 80s and early 90s was a way to shield herself from any sort of harassment she might come across.
You saw a lot of violence when you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Did it frighten you?
It kind of put us in shock because we used to just stand there and look at it like, wow. But then you see your mom get hit, and then it's like you just used to start screaming and crying when you see your mother get hit.
By men in her life.
Yeah. And men just seem like they didn't have any mercy. They hit you like you are a man. Like, I've seen women get their heads punched through walls as a kid.
You said you were a tomboy. Do you think you made that decision to shield yourself from it?
I did, because when, I've been through so much as a child and a teenager. I just started to turn, not that I was a guy, I just wore baggier jeans and Timberlands and hat turned backwards so I won't, be so revealing. It took me a very long time to even wear makeup and tight clothes because I'd been, through so much.
In early 1988, she recorded an impromptu cover of Anita Baker's Caught Up in the Rapture at a recording booth, and then her mother's boyfriend at the time would play the cassette for Jeff Redd, a recording artist and A&R runner for Uptown Records. Redd sent it to the then president and CEO of the label, Andre Harrell. Harrell met with Blige, and in 1989, at the age of 18, she was signed to the label, becoming Uptown Records' youngest female artist.
When I was singing background for Jeff Redd, I was still living in the projects, and I think You Remind Me was on the radio, the song that was on the Strictly Business soundtrack. Nobody expected for it to be so huge to the culture, and the DJs were playing and it just jumped off the soundtrack onto the radio, and it became this big deal, and we were still living where we was living, how we was living.
What's the 411 would be the start of her long-term professional relationship with record producer P. Diddy, who handled the majority of production on that album. The mixture of R&B from Mary and hip-hop from Diddy elevated a growing subgenre, and although rap music had long been sampling funk and soul, the fusion of hip-hop production and the energy of R&B melodies hadn't been done at a big level like this before. The realism that was heard on songs like You Remind Me, the heartbreak and flaws that were frequent throughout the album, made Mary J. Blige all the more accessible and relatable to women and girls who were looking for an artist they could be friends with, as well as idolize. What's the 411 definitely lasted the test of time, as Mary's voice and presence on the record, a mixture of lived through pain and femininity, made the album an all-time classic record. LL Cool J described it in his 1990 song titled Around the Way Girl, essentially describing someone that is independent, streetwise, and unapologetically herself. But if we're talking more about fashion sense, then Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice or Rosie Perez in Do the Right Thing are two visual examples of that type of early 90s aesthetic. Some of the key pieces from the Around the Way Girl vibe could be huge gold chains and hoop earrings, baseball caps worn backwards, baggy denims and oversized jackets, and of course, can't forget the Timberland boots. These styles resonated deeply with inner cities because it mirrored their everyday experiences and allowed everyone to show their individuality, essentially letting everyone express themselves however they wanted with that iconic streetwear vibe.
We have the twisty hoop earrings. We have the swoop. A lot of girls were wearing the swoop bun, the Fendi glasses. We're matching from head to toe. I loved fashion. I just loved to make sure that I was, that I can do things for myself. And before I was in the music business or doing anything, I did my own hair. I colored my own hair. I cut my own hair. I weaved my friends' hair. I braided their hair. We didn't have a lot of money, but it was about finding the best cheap things to make them look fly. And we did that. So when I got some money, I was able to go crazy.
When Mary dropped the music video for You Remind Me in 1992, she introduced a mixture of casual and chic, displaying the baggy jeans with a crop top and her leather jacket as well. That video showcased Mary's ability to mix hip-hop streetwear with R&B's melodic soul, breaking away from the often overly polished and suit-like looks seen in R&B videos in the 80s and early 90s. In her music video for Real Love, Mary showcased the streetwear aesthetic almost to a T, with the oversized clothes and Timberlands, with that video arguably placing Mary J. Blige as the poster child for that style, as her fit felt authentic and was easily accessible. Mary J. Blige revolutionized R&B by being the first singer to embrace the authentic street style of inner city girls, compared to the industry norm where 99% of female R&B artists dressed in a mature, almost motherly fashion, much like a 60 to 70-year-old, even if they were in their mid-20s. This formal attire was either a homage to icons like Anita Baker, or disturbingly, a strategy to make young singers appear much older, potentially to shield predators in the music industry from scrutiny. It can be argued that Mary J. Blige is the most important R&B singer of the last 30 years, as she broke the mold by performing in the casual, everyday wear seen on the streets of New York, effectively putting an end to the era where young female artists were cloaked in shoulder pads and long gowns to appear older. While groups like TLC introduced a vibrant, albeit more entertainment-like fashion before her, and the girls had hints of this street style too, it was Mary J. Blige who truly captured and popularized the around the way girl aesthetic, influencing a wave of artists to follow suit and shifting industry standards towards more authentic and relatable fashion.
She could be Aretha Franklin for the 90s, for this whole teenage generation who are looking for stars and images to support. Mary comes across to them just as she is. She's the real deal. And kids like that.
Coming off the back of the 1980s, which saw Mary J. Blige's idols, the likes of Aretha Franklin and Anita Baker, beginning to be placed in the legends category, the culture at the time was ready for a new wave of artists to take over, with Mary J. Blige being one of the leaders of that new generation. Mary's iconic style not only redefined fashion in R&B, but also became a blueprint for future artists, influencing a generation of performers like SWV and Escape, who embraced and evolved the streetwear aesthetic, while artists like Aaliyah would take it even further and make it a full fashion trend. She also bridged the gap between R&B and hip-hop at a time when both genres were distinct in sound and culture. Her visuals in her music videos reinforced the idea that hip-hop wasn't just about rap, It was a broader cultural movement that allowed soulful expression, while R&B could embrace the rawness of street culture. Her early 90s style also mirrored the musical collaborations between R&B and hip-hop, such as her partnerships with Diddy, Method Man and Nas. Ultimately, Mary's influence persists in today's music and fashion industries, proving that her style wasn't just a trend, it was a cultural shift. What do you think about Mary J. Blige's impact on music and fashion? How has her style or music influenced you personally? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below.
And my family. And they just been telling me to just keep my head up and don't pay attention to the nonsense and just, you know, believe in myself and believe in God, and that's all I need.